Now that you've registered and signed in to Family Connection, you should find yourself on the home page. Your name should be at the top. This is your own parent account for Family Connection. And we're just going to go through and point out some of the features and resources that you as a parent can use and also encourage your student to use. So the two main tabs, you'll see three tabs actually at the top of this page: colleges, careers, and about me. The two main tabs that we use are colleges and about me. We're going to sign in or click on the about me tab right now and show a few different tools within this tab. So under the parent profile, you'll see right here, actually next to um, the parent profile box, surveys to take. The parent college questionnaire is located right here. If you click on it, this will bring you into the parent college questionnaire that we ask you as a parent to fill out. Your son or daughter has filled in a student college questionnaire, which is so helpful to us when we're writing our counselor statement that eventually goes to colleges as a part of your student's application. But the parent college questionnaire really helps us to kind of focus our talks with your son or daughter. So this questionnaire is very important for the process that we take with your student. We also put a paper copy of this questionnaire in your folder for the junior parent college day. So we are happy to take it on the paper form if that's easier for you. We do prefer the online form, but whatever is easiest for you is fine on our end as long as we receive the parent college questionnaire filled out. So going back to about me, we're going to go into your profile. So we're going to click on my profile right here. And just so you can see, this should be your parent information. So a contact phone number for you, your address. You're welcome to fill in as much as you would like. Your email should already be filled in here, but if you'd like to edit anything, add an occupation, add your alma mater down here, just click on this edit tab and that will allow you to go in and edit your personal profile information. We're just going to walk through a few things going down this tab. So even though the profile is related to you, under here you should see your student. So we are actually working with a fake student profile, Frank Fraud. Frank is the student. I am logged in as Frank's parent, Heza. But we're going to go down and see the different kind of resources and tabs that can be utilized in Family Connection. So these tabs right here, profile, test scores, personality type, etc. This is exactly what your son or daughter will see when he or she logs into Family Connection. So we're going to go right down this line and click on some of the tabs that we use most frequently. So we're going to click on test scores. Right here, you'll actually see in one space a compilation of all of the test scores that Frank has taken. Your son or daughter most likely right now just has a PSAT score that is entered in. Your student may have taken the SAT on January 25th. We don't have those scores yet. Typically, SAT scores, ACT scores, subject test scores take about, a week or two longer to reach the Lawrence Academy College office after your son or daughter has gotten their scores. But every score should be recorded in this section. So if there's a test that your child has taken, you do not see it recorded in Family Connection, please either have your child or you can reach out to your child's college counselor to let us know. Likewise, if something looks like it has been input mistakenly, if there's an issue, it doesn't look like it's the right score, please let us know. Again, this is just for our purposes, so we can see all of this information in one place. Nothing from Naviance in terms of test scores or anything that is in here goes to a college. A college does not see this. This is actually a good time to also point out that when your child is eventually applying to a college, if they require standardized test scores, that has to be sent directly from your child's College Board account or ACT account. Lawrence Academy does not send test scores as a part of the application to schools. That comes directly from you or your son or daughter. That's the only way test scores are considered official. So test scores in here, we're going to go down to the next tab, personality type. Every junior this year took a personality test, and really it was just helpful to kind of start the discussion on the type of learner that your child is. So what is the best setting for them to learn in? What do they enjoy? What are some of their strengths as a learner? What are some of their blind spots? But it was great to kind of start that first conversation that we had back in January with your son or daughter as we really began this process. You're welcome to kind of scroll through to get an idea of the personality type that popped out for your son or daughter. For many students, they reported that it was pretty accurate, the results that came out, but we talked through that, what was accurate, what didn't seem to kind of be spot on. So it's interesting if you'd like to scroll through and read through. The next tab going down is the resume tab. Just so you know that this is a feature in Naviance, it's a resume kind of template, resume builder. So we are seeing in the college office more and more colleges, universities that are either accepting a resume, requesting a resume, anything of that form. But while there are many different resume templates through Microsoft Office and other kind of web-based formats, just so you know, Family Connection does offer a resume template that's fairly easy to fill in. We don't typically use game plan or documents, but we will. It is worth showing you the journal tab. So we have talked through this with your child. While you will not be able to see any journal entries, if your student chooses to use this feature, so you know it is here, there is a journal entry section. We've suggested that students keep some form of a journal or notebook where they write down their thoughts, their impressions after each college visit. As much as you think the colleges will kind of stay unique and fresh in your mind, once you are on visit 4, 5, 10, 15, they do start to blend together. So whether it is in this journal feature in Family Connection or some other form of a notebook or on their phone or iPad or whatever they're using, the idea of just jotting down some notes after a college visit is really helpful, really useful. Now we're going to click on the Colleges tab. This is the section of Family Connection where you, your son or daughter, will probably spend the most time in this tab. We're going to, in this top box under My Colleges, click on Colleges I'm Thinking About. So right here, you can see a list of colleges. When it says I'm, it means your son or daughter. So colleges that Frank is thinking about. He or his counselor has entered in already a number of colleges that they would like to consider. So the colleges I'm thinking about section is really can be thought of as a prospective college list. One thing that I would like to point out right now is you can see we're under the parent webpage right now, He's a Fraud. I'm going to take you over and just click on what Frank, the student's webpage, would look like. So you can see right here under colleges I'm thinking about, Frank actually has this tab right here, add to this list. Whereas going back to the parent web page, that tab is not there. So only your child or your child's college counselor can actually add or take away a college from a prospective list. This page alone contains a significant amount of information. So along this tab under college, you can clearly see the number of colleges on the prospective list. The next column over delivery type will indicate how information will get to that college. So when we are sending application materials, if there's a computer screen right here, you can see that materials can be sent online. If there is a CA in the middle of the computer screen, that means it's a common application school. You can see down here next to Elon that it is a computer screen without the CA, which means that Elon accepts applications and materials online. It is not a common application school. Elon has its own application. There isn't a college on here with a stamp, but a stamp symbol indicates a college where materials must be mailed. So mailed directly into the college. We should have added Georgetown onto this list. That is a school where materials must be mailed in. The next column over, added by, this will tell you who added this college to the prospective list, if it was your student's counselor or if it was the student. Expected difficulty, we have not yet filled in expected difficulty for any of the juniors. What that means is it's a predicted expected outcome for the admission process. So this is a good time to kind of walk through what the different outcomes could be. We've also written this out on the useful resources and information for parents page that was in your folder for the junior college day. But quickly, just to give you an idea of the 4 expected outcomes that we could possibly put in here. One would be far reach, and when we put down a far reach, we believe the student has a 0 to 3% chance of being accepted. The next would be reach, in which we would be indicating that we feel there's a 3 to 20% chance of acceptance. Possible would be a third outcome, and that would indicate that we feel there's a 50% chance of acceptance with different gradations in there. And finally, there's also likely as an outcome, in which we feel that the student has an 80% chance or better of being accepted. Another important thing to point out about expected difficulty is when we are filling this in, and we're filling this in with your son or daughter here with us, we'll actually go in and look at some of the graphs later on, or scattergrams as we also call them. And on those scattergrams, we can actually plot out based on GPA and test scores, so an SAT or an ACT test score, kind of where that expected outcome might lie compared to other Lawrence Academy students who have applied to that same school, and looking at the national averages for that college or university. A final note on expected outcomes is that we would just like to point out that they're not a totally scientific kind of analysis, but more our best estimation based on the data that we have available and then our experience as college counselors. The next column over, my interest, that would be your student's interest. So they can fill in first choice, very interested, somewhat interested. There's different kind of gradations that can show their interest level. So it's up to them to fill these in for each school. That just helps us as a college counselor see the schools that they are truly interested in and try to help them find either other schools that might have some of those similar qualities, or to kind of focus on some schools and maybe not as much on others. The next several columns going across are application deadlines. So this is actually a nice snapshot of each deadline for every college and university. Another good time right here to point out that all information that is on Family Connection is typically updated by the colleges, but it is always good to check things such as application deadlines or application requirements on the actual college website. So while this can give you a good idea, and the majority of the time these deadlines are spot on, it is always important to check, as kind of a final check for deadlines or application requirements, check on the college's website. Scrolling over under actions, you'll see this next column, and it comes up for contact. If you click on this box, you can actually send an email directly to the American University College Admissions Office. So if you scroll down here, click on send an email. An email will go from you, the parent, to the admissions office at American University. We would strongly urge you to resist sending an email to an admissions office or an admissions representative. The admissions offices at colleges and universities want to hear from your son or daughter. They do not really want to hear from you. So we would urge you to encourage your son or daughter to start up these contacts and send these emails, but please hold off on these contacts coming directly from you. The next column over graphs are scattergrams, and we'll go into this a little bit later more in detail. The final column with the www is going to take you directly to the college's website. So if I click on this, it's going to open a new tab, taking me directly to American University's website. So navigating through just this web page alone can get you so much information for any college or university that you're pulling up at this time. We're now going to click on an individual college and show you just how much information you can pull up through Family Connection. So if you note at the top all of the contact information, there's a phone number, there's an email link, but just really an excessive amount of information is available right here. Again, another link to the school's website. And then we're going to talk through all of this information kind of up in this top section. It's important to note that all of this information is related to Lawrence Academy information. So we're going to click on overlaps right now. And what this is going to show you are the top 10 application overlaps for the past 5 years for students from Lawrence Academy who have applied to Boston College. It's the top 10 other schools that those students have also applied to. It's useful as students are building a prospective list. So if there was something about Boston College that they liked, these other 10 schools right here may have some things in common. They may be worth looking into. It's also worth clicking on the Compare Me tab right here. So this would compare your student. And if you click on that, this will compare your student's GPA, test scores, going straight across the board, to the average accepted GPA test scores for each category from other Lawrence Academy students over the past 5 years who have been accepted at these schools. We're going to go back to college profile, and we're back on the BC page. So what you can see right here, your student, your child's name should come up here, and you can compare your student's GPA and test scores directly to Boston College. So to the average accepted GPA, test scores, etc. for Lawrence Academy students from the past 5 years. One important thing to point out, GPA, which is the cumulative grade point average, we will enter in a cumulative grade point average in Naviance for your son or daughter. This is going to happen in April, so it will be through the winter term of their junior year. But what we would really like to point out is that Lawrence Academy as a school does not compute a cumulative GPA in general, nor do we send one out to colleges. We simply compute it to use for Naviance as it helps determine a student's expected outcome for a given institution. So again, the information that's in Naviance and Family Connection is not seen by a college. This is just for your college counselor, your son or daughter, and for you to see to try and kind of gauge where they might fall as an expected outcome. Next, you'll see the listing of scores, so really kind of a good usage for just getting a general comparison for other Lawrence Academy students. We're going to go next to the School Statistics tab. Clicking on here, this gives a nice snapshot of the last 5 years of the outcomes. How many applications were submitted, how many were accepted, how many were denied, how many were waitlisted, etc. How many students applied regular, how many students applied early. In this case, it's early action. It's actually single choice early action, but Boston College does not have an early decision option. So that's what it means by early here. So just a general snapshot of outcomes and how many applications were submitted. We're going to click back on college profile, and we are going to click on graph. Now, we went through this entire presentation with every junior in January in their small group college counseling meeting. We specifically showed them Boston College as it has some really interesting kind of features and things to note while we're going through something like the scattergram. So this graph, or scattergram as we call it, will plot the outcomes for every Lawrence Academy student from the past 5 years who has applied to Boston College. If you scroll down on the web page, you'll see the graph legend. So each symbol stands for a different Lawrence Academy student. You can see if it's a green square, they were accepted, a red X, they were denied. A blue diamond is a wait list. If they have a yellow triangle off of their symbol, that means that they applied early. So you can just kind of get a sense, and it's nice on these graphs to get a sense of the average kind of accepted range for GPA and test score. If test scores are used. At BC, they do require that you send in test scores. Some schools are test optional, so test scores might not be as important in this outcome. But what you can see right here is that the average accepted GPA for a Lawrence Academy student at Boston College has been a 3.43. You can see that the average accepted SAT score on a 1600 scale, that's the critical reading and math sections of the SAT, is 1233. So you can also see right here that your child, in this case Frank Fraud, is this circle. So taking into account his GPA, his test scores, Frank Fraud falls right about here. If we were doing an expected outcome with your son or daughter right here, and we saw this was the average right at this point, this might look like it would be a possible. So maybe there's about a 50-50 chance he kind of falls right into kind of the average accepted student, or where that should technically be based on GPA and test scores. As you can see, there are a number of red X's right around this average, and the majority of acceptances are way up here in this area, with a few what we call kind of outliers kind of down below, which definitely bring down the average accepted GPA and test score. We chose Boston College for a reason. BC has Division I athletics, so coaches are recruiting, and students who are recruited athletes can very often get a tip or a push in the admissions process. Boston College values legacy students. So by legacy, we mean if a parent went to the school, if a sibling went to the school, if a grandparent went to the school. Cousin, aunt, uncle, that really doesn't come into play under legacy. But BC as a whole is known for valuing legacy students. There are a number of schools that will value these special interests. If you are the best oboe player in your region, if you are the best golfer in your, in your state. So different things that some people may call them hooks that could bring kind of an acceptance for a student who doesn't quite hit what the normal kind of expected GPA or test score might be. This is where kind of we as a college counselor will use our expertise and say, we know that these students here, these green squares, had something else the college wanted. They had a hook. So when we are putting in an expected outcome for Frank, we really would kind of take into play that this is where the average kind of accepted GPA and test score will fall. And BC really becomes more of a reach for Frank. So reading these scattergrams, you do have to kind of take in that there may be some special circumstances and try to read that. What's also important, we'll later show you the section for national statistics for Boston College. So their national average accepted GPA, their national average accepted SAT score. We'll also always look at that before we compute an expected outcome. So while we value kind of the compilation of information and statistics from Lawrence Academy, we always kind of counterbalance that with the national averages for the college. So as I mentioned about a minute ago, we are looking at the test scores on the SAT 1600 scale, critical reading and math. You can change the scale. So Boston College, for example, will accept the ACT score with writing. If your son or daughter has taken the ACT, you can change the scale to an ACT scale. And now you'll see kind of computing based on an ACT score. So just so you know, that feature is available to change the test type. We're now going to go back to the Boston college profile. We're going to scroll down, and as you see below these kind of gray or darker colored boxes, this is more of kind of the national information for Boston College, so the more college-centered information. You can see right here a quick snapshot of the application history of Lawrence Academy students over the past 5 years. You can see some just general information, the school type, the enrollment. Important to point out the CEEB code, the ACT code. When you send test scores to the college as a part of your son or daughter's application, you will be asked to enter in the CEEB code, the ACT code, so this can all be found in Naviance. In the fall, we will have over 100. Last fall, we had over 120 admissions representatives from colleges throughout the United States come to Lawrence Academy to visit with students. This visit date, once it is scheduled, will be put right into Naviance, and if a school is on your son or daughter's prospective college list, they will be sent an email notification when the admissions representative will be on campus. Please encourage your student to take advantage of this. It's such an easy way to get face-to-face contact with the admissions representatives from colleges. Most likely, these are the first readers for applications. So if they can put a face to a name, it just kind of makes the application that much more genuine to that admissions representative. You can see right here that our school contact, our admissions representative at BC, Elizabeth Borge, if you click on that, it will take your son or daughter or you directly to an email. So your child can email the admissions representative directly from their Naviance login screen. We're going to click on the admissions tab right here, and we'll be able to take a look at some of the more national averages for Boston College. So first right here under admissions qualifications, it's going to take you through a list of what BC requires. Again, this is actually a good example of a list that is fairly incomplete, and why we heavily urge students to go to the admissions qualifications or requirements page on the BC website or any college's website. Under SAT subject, test scores, so it says test scores required, but these are all blank. We know just from our expertise that if you submit an SAT score to BC, they also require that you submit 2 SAT subject tests. Those are their testing requirements. If you do not want to submit SAT or SAT subject tests, you may in place send in the ACT with writing. So again, not on here. You really need to go to the BC website to find that information. But still kind of a good snapshot that you can see test scores are required for many students. If it's a test optional school, that will be listed right here. You can get another good idea of how many freshmen applied for this current year. You can get an idea of average test scores on a kind of national level. BC isn't reporting an average GPA, but many schools will. So just a good place to kind of get a quick snapshot of information for admission statistics on a national level. You can click on financial aid, and this will give you a lot of good contact information about the cost of school, about a direct link to the financial aid website or to an email. Majors and degrees, highly underutilized by our students, and we keep trying to show it to them and hope that they will use this a little bit more. This will list every major and degree offered at, in this case, Boston College. One of the ways that this becomes kind of really useful is if you're looking at a major or a degree that maybe is a little bit kind of obscure, or you haven't seen that often, but you know BC offers it. So I specifically am looking at BC because I'm very interested in their applied psychology degree. I haven't heard many other schools offer it, but if I click on applied psychology right here under the major name, this will actually pop out a list of every other college or university in the country that also offers applied psychology as a major. So if there is something very specific that your son or daughter is thinking of studying, and say they only know one college right now, or they've heard of a college that has a good program in it, it's just a nice way to kind of do some research and open up their prospective school list. I'm going to go back to the BC webpage, click on Student Life. This again just gives kind of a good snapshot. You can see how many people live on campus, if there's meal service plans, if there are residence halls, different activities, organizations, etc. A lot of information will also be on the BC webpage. And obviously visiting a school will probably give you the best idea of student life, but a good snapshot right here of information. So a ton of information just by adding Boston College to the prospective college list and then going in and kind of using the resources available on the Boston College page in Family Connection. One of the most common questions that we get asked by students right about now and in some of our first meetings is, I just don't even know where to start. How do I make a prospective college list? How do I start looking? What are the tools that I can use? There's books, there's maps, there's tons of resources available that we talk through with your student, but there are a lot of resources and research tools right here on Naviance. So under this college research tab right here, there's a number of different resources that you can actually use to do college searches. Supermatch is kind of I guess we call it a cartoon-like search engine that we do absolutely use. We're going to take you to just through a couple of them right now. I'm going to highlight the College Match tool right here. This is actually a great tool. Kind of skip through the top part. It's just some sort of advertisements for colleges. But when you get down to the bottom, colleges other students like. So this is more of the national data for students who have also liked schools that are on your list. So under the overlaps category that we earlier clicked on specific for Boston College, that was overlaps in applications for Lawrence Academy students. These are overlaps on a national average. So other students who have also either applied to American University or kind of looked into it on a national basis, they have also applied to this list of schools. So you can kind of scroll through, and it's just a great way to kind of, outside of LA, what are other students across the nation who have also applied to American University? Where else have they applied? Almost every school, every college uses Naviance. So to be able to give kind of the top 5 overlaps is really, really helpful, really useful. We're going to go back and just take a look at College Compare right now. So here you can actually go in and compare your data to a number of different schools. So I'm going to put in Boston College and choose Boston College. I'm going to choose, see, Boston University. Click on that. Boston University. And now I want to compare myself to the average accepted students at Boston College and Boston University. And right here, this is for Lawrence Academy students again who have applied over the past 5 years who've been accepted. But now I could keep going. I could put a list of, as many schools as I'd like to compare my data to theirs right here on this College Compare page. We are going to scroll down, just take a look at College Lookup. This is just an easy way to kind of get in, look for colleges. You can do it by state or by country. College Search. This is a great tool, and we highlighted this in our session with our junior students in the January meeting. It's really a great way just by entering in some really basic criteria to pop out kind of a more narrowed or centered list based on your students' preferences. So just to even go through a few to show you how much this can narrow down a search. We're starting right now, as you can see, number of matches. I haven't put in any search criteria yet with over 5,000 colleges or universities. But right here, I'm going to indicate I want a four-year school. I'd like it to be private, and I'd like it to be co-ed. Campus surroundings, I'm going to say I'd really like a large or a small city. Um, and then college groups for religious affiliation, I'm not as much concerned about any of that, so I'm not even going to enter any criteria in there. I'm going to click next. Already you can see just by entering in a few different pieces of search criteria, we went from over 5,000 schools to about 700 schools. Now I'm just going to narrow it by location. So these are each of the different pages that you can go through to enter in search criteria. So we're on location. My mom wants me to stay in either Massachusetts, New Hampshire, or Rhode Island. She does not want me to go far. So those are the only areas that I'm going to look in right now. I'm going to click on next. And right here, we've narrowed it down to 49 schools. So now we went from over 5,000 to 700 to 49. I'd really like it to be sort of a mid-sized school, 2 to 10,000, kind of in that range for the enrollment. I'm going to scroll down and click next. And so now that's brought me to 21 matches. So I feel like I've entered in enough search criteria. If there's a particular major, if you're looking to play a specific sport, if there's a special program, you can keep entering in more criteria, but I'd like to view my matches right now. So it shows you the search criteria that was entered in, and then colleges that match your criteria. So there's a nice list that pops out of 21 colleges. So again, I went from over 5,000 to 21 just by entering in a few simple kind of search criteria. So again, another way to just start that process of building a prospective college list. So the last resource we're just going to take some time to point out quickly is the College Maps resource. Right here, college maps, colleges that accepted our students, colleges where our students are attending, top 20 most popular colleges where our students applied. I'm going to click on colleges where our students are attending. So these are Lawrence Academy students. I realize that on the screen you can't see the total map of the United States, but it's going to show a map of the United States, and actually it'll then go down and give a list of colleges that our students are attending. So this is for the past 5 years worth of our students, but as you can see, there is a very heavy concentration going along the East Coast. So that is primarily where our students from Lawrence Academy over the past 5 years have attended college. I'm going to go back to the map list and just look really quickly at the top 20 most popular colleges where our students applied. You can see in this list of 20, they are all along the East Coast. So that kind of gives you an idea of where our students are primarily looking. That being said, we urge them to open up as much as possible and start just kind of on a fresh slate and willing to kind of go a little bit outside their comfort zone and consider some things that maybe weren't necessarily on a friends list or a friend of a friends list, but really based on their interests, their fit. That's really the idea as we go into this process with your son or daughter. We go back to the map list, and I'm just going to scroll down so you can still see we have all of these tabs going alongside. On the left-hand side, I'm still on the colleges tab. So we've really gone through a lot of the college research tabs. You can play around with this, look at the different search engines, encourage your son or daughter to do that as well. The last thing that I'm going to point out right here is the scholarships and money section. So if you click on scholarship match, there are a number of resources and different links that will take you to scholarship kind of websites, search engines. It's a little limited on Family Connection, what's been listed in here. We actually feel like on our Lawrence Academy College Counseling webpage and Beyond the Academy, which is our college counseling handbook, there is a section on kind of a how to pay for college. And it's a whole chapter related to financial aid, scholarships. There's some search engines. It's just a little more of a complete listing than we feel Family Connection offers. But there are some good resources, and it is very much worth kind of going through some of these links and taking a look at them. So this has been not really a brief, but fairly thorough walkthrough for all of the resources and tools that Family Connection offers for you, for your son or daughter. So we use this a lot. We encourage your students to use this. We encourage you to use this. If at any point you have any issues on Family Connection, whether it's from the registration point to how you search, how you use it, please don't hesitate to contact your son or daughter's college counselor. We're happy to walk you through any piece of this. Really one of the big things that we value in our office and during this process is the communication that we have with parents and with students. It really makes this process much more positive, a lot healthier, and just enjoyable all around, which it should be. So thanks so much. If you have any questions, again, don't hesitate to contact the college counseling office.